Oh, and as a little side note to all those fucking brainlets out there who like to chime in with insightful commentary like, the drinker is just a hateful, toxic misogynist who can't stand anything with strong female characters, diverse casting, or non-heterosexual representation. Well, you can go ahead and suck my big hairy Scottish balls, because first up, you're clearly missing the entire point of my
Wow. Is this review just so he can, have that counter argument? Let's see. I know... one thing I want to look up into, which is part of the reason why I want to do this, is I want to look into his Arcane review. Because his fans are always telling me that is proof that he is not sexist, honestly. And I keep on... The drinker recommends Arcane. Okay, so let's see what he says.
Fuck yes! In a December that's seen some of the most obnoxiously terrible content the human mind is capable of producing, I don't think I was alone in desperately seeking out something genuinely good to balance the great cosmic scales of entertainments. Well, as it happens, some helpful soul suggested that I watch Arcane, an animated fantasy series on Netflix. Then another person said the same thing, and another, and before you knew it, I was being showered with more recommendations for this one show than I've had bottles of high-grade alcohol. And that's a fucking lot. Believe that. So what the hell, I thought, might as well see what all the fuss is about. And god damn it, I'm so glad that I gave this show a try. Arcane may just be one of the most gripping, nuanced, mature, poignant and well-constructed TV shows I've watched in years. Which is pretty fucking mind-boggling, considering it's based on an online multiplayer shooter of all things. Anyway, clearly an explanation is needed here, so let's get started. I'm gonna keep this review light on spoilers as much as I can, because I genuinely don't want to ruin this show for people, so here's the high-level plot summary. The show takes place in the fictional steampunk city of Piltover, where the affluent nobility enjoy a life of luxury and opportunity in the upper levels of the city. Beneath them lies a sprawling, polluted, crime-ridden hellhole known as the Undercity.
Maybe I should watch Arcane sometime. I've never seen it. But yeah.
Where impoverished workers toil away in brutal conditions and rival gangs and crime lords vie for power. It's a bit like fucking Greenock, only it looks nicer. Anyway, ever since a failed uprising years earlier, an uneasy truce is held between the two halves of the city, brokered by a former revolutionary turned pacifist named Vander. Unfortunately, his former brother-in-arms Silco still harbours dreams of freeing the Undercity from the control of those above, and begins using a powerful chemical known as Shimmer to build himself an army of super soldiers. Meanwhile, in the city above, a brilliant young scientist named Jace is experimenting with dangerous new technology that has the potential to harness the power of magic, with the goal of ushering in a new era of peace, prosperity, and technological advancement. But this potential isn't lost on the greedy politicians of the city council.
Okay, so far, we're 2 minutes in, and so far, this has been a review. Good job, Drinker. This is a review. No cringe jokes. I mean, you're allowed to do jokes, but yours are bad. But you're actually reviewing this. As long as you don't go into point-by-point analysis, like you're doing like some basic story setup, and then I assume you'll go into like your broader thoughts. But yeah. Do more stuff like this, Drinker. Don't do the shit you usually do.
Who begin to manipulate Jace for their own ends. And in the midst of all this shit, a street gang from the Undercity, led by a tough-talking fighter named Vi and her younger sister Jinx, manage to steal some of Jace's technology, which triggers an escalating series of conflicts and battles with both Silco and the enforcers from the city above. The two sisters ultimately become separated when Jinx accidentally detonates a magic crystal, resulting in the deaths of several friends. Jump forward a few years and Silco has risen to become the dominant force in the Undercity, with Jinx now acting as his most loyal enforcer. Piltover itself has become a technologically advanced metropolis thanks to the technology developed by Jace, who's now seen as the city's golden boy. But when Vi returns after getting released from prison, can she find a way to save her sister and prevent a destructive revolution before it happens? Is there even anything left to save? I could probably spend hours gushing over every detail of Arcane's story, but trust me on this one, there's a huge amount of stuff going on in this show. Everything from grand political manoeuvring to dangerous science experiments that threaten to shift the balance of power in the world, friendships and loyalty tested to their limits, unexpected alliances and bitter betrayals, revenge and reconciliation. It's all here, and it's all played out with some of the best, most nuanced and mature character work I've seen in years. Nobody is quite what they seem. Everyone has valid reasons for doing what they're doing, whether it's a desire to win freedom for their people, an idealistic hope of making the world a better place, or the pragmatic necessity of...
I mean, I don't know why valid reasons. I don't know. That's a weird way to phrase it, but okay, whatever. I mean, so far, it's still a review. It's a review, Critical Drinker. Will Jordan. How old is this? 1 year ago. Do this with your videos. Do this.
Maintaining the unequal status quo to prevent greater suffering later. There's so many different ideologies and worldviews represented here, and what's remarkable is each one of them has its merits, and the script actually takes the time to explore them properly, instead of, just blurting out cheap, meaningless, emotionally manipulative buzzwords and moving on before anyone thinks to question it.
You've got to do better, Senator. You've got to step up.
The world of...
Okay. That was the worst thing he did. I guess it's not terrible, because, I don't know, even I feel I feel like I wish they'd done more Falcon and Winter Soldier with that scene, but, I don't know, at least it's something. I don't hate it.
Arcane is a morally complex, subtle, brutally uncaring and unforgiving place where good people can and do die for what they believe in, where virtue and honour isn't always rewarded and deception and manipulation isn't always punished. And just like the world they live in, the characters themselves are just as complex and nuanced. The supposed villains of the story aren't nearly as villainous as they may seem, even if they're forced to be cold and ruthless to achieve their aims, while the heroes definitely don't act heroic when the chips are down. The relationship between...
Yes, Whitney, I would probably... Well, I guess I do technically watch them, but I don't watch them because I enjoy them. But yeah, no, this is actually a fucking review.
Vi and Jinx is the glue that holds the rest of the narrative together, forming the emotional core of Arcane's story. And I have to admit, they absolutely hit a home run with both of these characters. Vi is a tough, aggressive street fighter that's learned from personal experience just how unforgiving this world can be, and how giving people a chance against your better judgment can often have disastrous consequences. When we pick up with her several years after the events at the start of the story, she's cold, gruff and abrasive, and not particularly interested in working with her new partner Caitlin. But as they spend more time together and Caitlin proves herself to be more than just a spoiled rich kid from the upper city, Vi begins to open up and trust her a bit more. You start to see little glimpses of the caring, compassionate young woman beneath it all, and there's a pretty strong implication of a romantic attachment between them. Jinx, on the other hand, starts out as a vulnerable, innocent kid who gets caught up in events way outside her control through a mixture of bad judgment and sheer bad luck. By the time we pick up with her, she's a brilliant but emotionally unstable enforcer, traumatized by past events, longing to reunite with her estranged sister, but fearing and hating her at the same time. It's a brilliant, complex piece of character work, a poignant exploration of grief, trauma, guilt, and betrayal, and watching them try to reconcile with each other is absolutely gripping. Two damaged souls pushed down different paths by fate and circumstance, desperately looking for a way back. You're hoping against hope that Vi can find a way to bring her sister back from the brink, while knowing deep down that she's just too far gone. And as for the ending, well, I'll let you watch it for yourself and make up your own mind, but I can pretty much guarantee it won't leave you disappointed. What's interesting about Arcane is that it may be that most rare of species nowadays, an example of diversity, representation, and female empowerment that's actually smart, well implemented, and entertaining. The main cast features a smorgasbord of different races, genders, sexualities, and even whole other species, but it never once becomes intrusive, preachy, or irritating because
I'm trying to think of any time where that's, like, a thing, really. Like, you can dislike a piece of media because it has diversity or whatever. Wow, that point got, listen, yeah, I'm brain farting. Disliking a piece of media because it has diversity is not a good take. But I guess you could argue if media is shoving it down your throat, then that's a take you can have. That being said, that's rarely what happens. Like, I don't commonly see that. It's usually just a trait, and then you guys get offended. And you know what? Good on you, Drinker, for appreciating it here. But, arguing that, it's preachy and other stuff, I need examples. What are you talking about?
the script never uses this stuff to make some clumsy point about contemporary politics, or tries to elevate one particular group above another. They're all just people with their own unique drives, hopes, fears, dreams, flaws, and weaknesses, regardless of the innate characteristics they were born with. Holy shit, man, it's almost like this is how good writing is supposed to be done. Oh, and as a little side note to all those fucking brainlets out there who like to chime in with insightful commentary like, the drinker is just a hateful, toxic misogynist who can't stand anything with strong female characters, diverse casting, or non-heterosexual representation. Well, you can go ahead and suck my big hairy Scottish balls, because first up, you're clearly missing the entire point of my
Wow. Is this review just so he can, have that counter argument? Is the whole... Like, his fans are always telling me, oh, look, check out his Arcane review. It proves that he's not a sexist. And is that the point of this video? Like, it was a good review, and now I'm like, is that the point? The point is I'm going to do one good video, and then now I can just be a toxic piece of shit in the rest of them? Is that it?
channel, which is hardly surprising considering most of you have an IQ roughly equivalent to a soft-boiled egg. And secondly, according to whatever ridiculous mental gymnastics passes for logic in your...
This is so fucking disappointing, dude. You... Cut off this video 2.5 minutes earlier, and, you have a solid review for Arcane, and now it's just you complaining that people are calling you out for your shit and saying, hey, but I made one media review where I like diversity and stuff, so I'm immune, right? No.
Your case, Arcane should be the very epitome of everything I hate most in life, and yet here I am fucking loving it. But drinker, you mellifluent maestro of media mastication, I hear you say, why would you be heaping such wild praise on something that contains the very elements you've been so critical of in other media? Well, helpful straw man that I use as a convenient prop to make my points, the difference here is that the race, gender, and sexuality of the characters in Arcane aren't treated as the sole defining qualities that determine who they are and what...
Name a character. Well, I mean, like I said, you could probably come up with some for the most part. I can't think of characters where that, the character's sexuality or the fact they're a woman is, the sole defining characteristic of that character. So yeah, I mean, you already said you're making a straw man. Yes, that is absolutely a straw man, and you're tearing down that straw man quite well. Good job, drinker.
What they can be. They're nothing more than ancillary components of a much larger, more complex and well-constructed narrative, rather than being used as big obnoxious clubs to relentlessly beat you over the head with the message.
He was going so well. This is disappointing.
Isn't it funny how all my complaints about forced diversity, clumsy social messaging, and overpowered female characters go right out the fucking window when identity politics takes a back seat to just telling a good fucking story? It's almost like that's the very thing I've been advocating for since my channel took off, and now that it's actually happening, I couldn't be happier. But anyway, I digress. All of this stuff I've talked about is helped along immensely by incredible performances by a talented voice cast that give it their all, playing it dead serious and never once crossing the line into parody. The animation and art style...
Well, Mr. Will Jordan, since, frankly, you might watch this at some point, because, it does seem like, my channel name came out of your mouth fairly quickly. Dude, do more videos like the first 6.5, maybe 7 minutes of this video. Cut off the bit where you're whinging over your people pointing out that you're always bashing on women and minorities. And then just do more videos like the rest of this. And then you won't get the people complaining about you bashing about women and minorities, because you won't be. You'll just be doing honest reviews if you just do that. That is my advice.
Of Arcane is simply gorgeous to look at. The environments, the action scenes, the character design and manner.
Dude, like, it seems like he's going back into just being concluding the review and just doing a decent review. So, like, there's just like that 1.5 bit. Just cut that out. Just cut that out and then do the rest of your videos like this. You'll find you get lots less shitty, well, I don't even know if I want to say shitty comments that are actually calling out what you do. Because with that 1.5 in there, it feels like you're doing this solely to be a video for all your fans to say, hey, this is a video that proves you're not a bigot. When you kind of are. I guess I should do fan outreach to Critical Drinker fans, because they'll be watching this. Critical Drinker fans, your guy's an idiot. That's probably not very good fan outreach. I need to work on that.
Even the soundtrack, they're all perfectly done, to the point where you kind of forget that you're basically watching a 3D rendered cartoon. Arcane absolutely draws you in from the first haunting scene, and doesn't let go until that epic final moment, and I was invested in every single second of it. There's absolutely no question on this one. Arcane gets a well-deserved drinker recommends from me, and if you haven't seen it already, I recommend you put that right at your earliest convenience. Trust me, you won't regret it. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
An almost good review. Like, dude, you cut out like 1.5 minutes and you have a good review, dude. You fucked it up. You fucked it up. This is obviously just something made so your fans can direct people like me towards it. Be like, see? He's not a sexist. Yeah, one video where you did almost did a decent job. Whoop-de-doo.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.